Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and today we're taking a look at this guy. The brandy new this time, ONXY NX P. It is a 10 fader playback wing that we can use with Onyx consoles, or we can also use it with a PC. And in this video, we're going to show you how to use it. Let's dive in. So the ONXY NX P, as noted, can be used with a PC, so I got a PC right here. It can also be used with the Onyx consoles, but regardless, here are the important steps, the things you got to know to set it up. The first thing is, it's not that hard to set up, but there are a couple settings that you really want to be aware of, and you want to watch to the end to make sure you grasp all of those so you're getting the most out of your NXP. In addition, if you don't have an NXP yet and you're just like looking, you're like, hey, how does this function work? Is this going to fit my needs? Then, hey, we got your back. We are your Onyx dealers at Learn Stage Lighting Gear, and we would love to serve you in the purchase of an NXP or whatever you need in lighting, whether this is right for you or not. Okay, so first things first, we took off the dust cover. That's the first step. Man, they are, Obsidian Control Systems, Onyx is the Oprah of dust covers. I keep saying that. I hope people laugh at that, but it's so true. They give you a nice dust cover with every console. Some people charge like 50 bucks for these things. All right, take off the dust cover. Okay, next, couple connections. Okay, so we're gonna see on the back here, whoop, just show you here on cam 2. You can see here, we've got 4 DMX ports, all 5-pin, input or output. They have RDM as well. Kensington lock. We've got USB from the computer, also a USB plug here, as well as a power USB on the surface. Then we have our power right here, true 1 power switch. Okay, so let's go ahead here, plug this guy in. So we're going to plug in USB. We're going to plug in our desk light. We're going to go ahead and plug in our power. Okay. And actually, real quick, I apologize for the editing. While we let that turn on, we are going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a jump drive real quick just to test something. Because ultimately, I just want to test this real quick. So this guy is now on, and we launch Onyx, and we're here in the software. We're ready to go. Okay. We've got USB ports on board. I don't love the front USB port for the desk light. Okay, so the back USB port technically is probably for your thumb drive, right? Like if I go in here, I look on the PC, just gonna double check. Yeah, my thumb drive shows right up here, okay? Let me go ahead. My assumption is that when I put the desk light here, which is where I like it anyways, okay, we're gonna put the desk light in the back. My assumption, which we all know what assumptions do, is that it will still work as a USB port. Okay, so that is something to be aware of. As far as I'm seeing right here, this USB port on the front that's labeled desk light is power only. The one on the back is a data port. So just keep that in mind. Like ultimately, for most use cases, whether you're using this, like basically no matter what you use the NXP with, you're going to have a USB port somewhere. Like I'm using it with the laptop here, so the laptop has USB ports. If you use it with an Onyx console, the console has USB ports. I like the desk light in the back, that's what I was saying, because I can put the cover on fully across the front without a corner hanging off and still have the desk light up. It's also, if I put my NXK on the right, it's a little easier to reach over to the NXK if you add that on. Okay, now let's talk about operation of the NXP. By default, it's connected to the software or console. Okay, now if I go and I switch banks here on my console and also in my software, we're going to see that they track together. Okay, so if I switch it here on the console with the buttons, they're tracking. If I go on the PC and change it, it tracks right here. If I do it, say I'm on an NX1 and I just plug this guy in, okay, same thing because the software is identical from PC to console. So if I go and I plug this NX P into an NX1, then I'm going to have 10 faders and 10 playback buttons on both of these, and they're going to do the same darn thing all the time. That's not what you want, is it? How do you change that? That's something called wing IDs in Onyx. Okay, so if I go into my menu here, into my main menu, and then I go to DMX settings, and I see my NXP right here. Okay, let me just make sure this recorder's out of your way. Got my NXP. Then over here on the right, I have what's called Wing ID. Wing ID 0 is always the main screen of Onyx or the main PC screen. Okay, but I can change that. So if I go to Wing ID 1 and I pop out of here, I don't think there was an apply button. We're going to find out. Now, I'm switching banks on my NXP independently of what happens on my main banks on the screen here. What are some really good use cases for this? Again, if you're using it with another Onyx console, that console is probably going to be your main, your Wing 0 that follows the main screen, and then the NXP is going to be secondary, or the NX Touch, or what have you. Okay, now you're like, okay, but there's no labels, right? There's no LCD labels on the NXP. That's what makes it different from the NX4, is the P doesn't have LCD labels on the playbacks. So now I'm switching banks, but I'm effectively shooting in the dark because I don't have labels on these. And sure, you know, if everything on every page is like the same kind of thing, but just different variations, I could have a single set of labels across the top and that would work. But we can do better than that. So if I go into Onyx and I go to my display settings, and in this show, actually from last weekend, a show I did, I had a second monitor. I had a touch screen right here. Okay, then I just go to my internal left, as I called it. It can be whatever screen. I enable it. It now becomes a virtual display in Windows. Or if you connect a screen to a console, it runs you through a quick wizard. You set the display. Okay, so I've got a second display defined. That display works independently, and I set the Wing ID to 1. Okay, now that I've done that, I can back out of here, press apply. Okay, I can back out of here, and I've got another Onyx window over here, my internal left window, and watch that. Now that internal left is switching banks to match. Not only that, I can actually change the Wing ID right here on the bank chooser on that display. Okay, so if I start adding more and more NXPs, because I don't think there's really a limit theoretically, if you're going to do more than like 3 or 4, you should ask escalation support. But I don't think there's really a technical limit of how many wings you could add on. So if you're going to start adding on wings, you can just put screens in front of them if you want or not. And then, you know, you've got Wing 2, Wing 3, Wing 4. They're all able to work independently. You can change the banks independently, etc., and be good to go. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The NXP, just like a lot of Onyx hardware, is really, really simple to set up. And if you know a few little tricks like the Wing ID, you can really get a lot out of it when you combine it with other pieces of Onyx hardware. And hey, one more thing before we wrap. The NXP also has those 4 DMX outputs. By default, they're set to DMX universes 1 through 4. And if you have the basic license that comes with the NXP, the Nova Plus license, then those are the 4 universes you can use. However, if you want to change them up or make them all universe 1 or whatever, that's really simple to do, either in the software or the Onyx consoles. We'll just go up to our menu here, go into our main menu, then get myself on the right display. Apologies for that. Whoop. Into our main menu and go to DMX settings under system. Now, we've got our NXP here. It's actually showing 2, which is interesting because I unplugged it and I plugged it back in. I think it'd be fine. A quick refresh would be fine. And now we can set our Wing ID like we did before from the display screen, but we can also set each port. So DMX ports, there's going to be 4 on this guy. They're on the back. They can all be inputs or outputs. Most often it's output. And then this is where you set your universe. So you can use the plus, They're actually, oh, by default, they're all set to Universe 1. Interesting choice. So I'm going to go set them 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's what I want. And then once they're not red, I believe, they are good to go. Maybe it's this one. New software's fun, isn't it? Oh, I see. They're just off. So I'm setting them out. 2, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm good to go. At that point, they should light up if they're doing any output, and they should be good to go. Now here you can set them as inputs. You can set them all to the same universe, whatever you want. But let's dive back and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you're new here, subscribe. And if you're in the US and you need any kind of lighting or one of these consoles, we're authorized dealers for pretty much all the big brands, and we would love to help you get some lights or this console into your hands. Not only that, but if you're buying Onyx through us, ask for a quote. We will bundle training in so that you can learn and have the knowledge and information from our hours of tutorial videos that are geared towards programming Onyx at every level. So all of that's included. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you are buying this again and you watched this video and it helped you, we would really love to become your equipment dealer. Check it out, LearnStageLightingGear.com. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.